Welcome back to In Frame Brooklyn. Charlie from Real Brooklyn Films here. And it hasn't been a minute. Actually, it's been 2 weeks and a lot has happened. This morning, Outcast Nation went to PBS a day early. So we're very happy about that. It's like a weight off my shoulders. 9 months of making a movie takes its toll. And we'll talk about that. But today, we're going to talk about the post-production process. I actually filmed some stuff while I was editing, and I've got some tips and tricks for getting a movie to PBS. There's things that they need that I never dealt with before, so we'll talk about that. And also, I want to talk about my C300, which I love. I love this camera, and as you know, my first one was stolen, and we got another one. And what I found was that because the C300 is not a box like the C400 or even the C500, getting a cage so you can put all your stuff on it, because there's a lot of stuff, was not easy. And Wooden sells a cage for about $1,500, which is like half of what I paid for the camera. So I made a rig. I made a rig from scratch, and I want to show you guys what I did. And we're going to do that right after this. So, as you all know, I love my C300 Mark II. I got it at the beginning of the movie. It's amazing. I love it. It shoots 4K. And honestly, and I'll tell you why that's all you need when we get to the editing part. But the thing about it is, I don't like the handle that it came with. And I don't like the way the clamshell is set up on the handle, the way it comes. And the problem is, it's not a problem, but on the C300 Mark II, the microphone holder is on that clamshell. And the way it's set up, you've got the microphone and you got all these cables that come out the side, which you can see. I'll show you a picture of it when it's rigged out from factory. And it's a pain in the butt, and I hate it. Also, nothing is tight, because there's really no mounting points on the C300 when it comes out of the box. So what I did, because I found that things were getting loose while I was doing my interviews, I came up with a cage model that kind of resembled the Wooden cage. There's no trademark there because I didn't use it. But I came up with my own thing, as you can see in the B-roll here, that I took 2 cheese plates from Small Rig, and I'll list all the parts down at the bottom. 2 cheese plates from Small Rig that have holes everywhere, not just on the top and the bottom. I took 2 rail holders from Small Rig and 2 8-inch carbon fiber carbon fibers order of the day, kids. Carbon fiber rods. So what I did was I took 1 plate on the bottom and I used 2 bolts to keep it in place so it doesn't move. Then I took the top plate, which you can see in the video. I took off the cold shoe and I put a screw into the cold shoe screw. There's actually a screw in there. Once you take off the cold shoe holder, there's a screw. So I screwed in the top. So there's 2 on the bottom, 1 on the top, and then by using the rod holders, as you can see in the video, it secured it to the top and the bottom, and it gave me a very solid cage. And what I was able to do is then on the top, I put in a cold shoe for my microphone, and you can see the microphone holder, which goes into the cold shoe, and then there's an RE 2-pin placement in the middle of the cheese plate, so my top handle fits right into that. Then I used another cold shoe to put the clamshell on that plate also, so that all my cables now are going backwards. So everything is clean. You can see in the video, everything is lined up. Nothing is sticking out. And I put this rig together for about, I think it was like maybe $80 total with everything. And now this is so secure, I was able to take my magic arm, which you'll see underneath, to connect my Ninja 5. So now the whole rig is rigged out so that nothing moves. It's very tight. I was running it all over the place. I didn't have any problems at all. And I think the moral of the story is that with a little ingenuity and a little determination, you can actually solve some problems without spending big bucks. Because honestly, wooden makes great stuff, but when it's the same price as half my camera, that didn't make any sense. So I'll put all that information down on the bottom, and you can build this rig yourself, and it's great. And with the carbon fiber rods, I was able to give myself enough space by measuring out the plate that I can still get to the ND buttons, to any of the controls on the side. Also, it's a third point of contact. You can actually hold the rods while you're shooting. So one hand in the handle with the record button, and these rods actually act as an actual handle. So yeah, this was good, and it helped. And the rest of the shoot went swimmingly because the camera was really secure. Nothing got loose while I was rolling. The other thing I want to talk about, the other purchase I made, is the small rig tripod that we got when my Manfrotto tripod literally died after all of our stuff got stolen. And that's right after this. So the other thing that happened after all of our equipment was stolen is that my tried and true Manfrotto tripod, which I got like on the first thing I ever made like almost 30 years ago, finally died. The spring that holds the top together, whatever it is, to be able to put stuff in it, just died. And we were literally going to interview the Brooklyn Borough president on Monday. And this was, no, I'm sorry, Friday morning. And this was Thursday. So in a panic, I ran into Manhattan and went to B&H, which was open on Thursday. And I've coveted the Flowtech tripods ever since I saw Luke Forsythe, recommend it. And he talked about how he actually took a bullet. And of course, I want that, but I've got Flowtech dreams and very, very low reality wallet. So when I went in and I spoke to the guys at B&H, I go there all the time, and they were like, "Okay, what do you need?" I said, "Well, this is what I want, and this is what I can afford to spend." I had like $500 and $600, which is not nearly enough to get a Flowtech. So I told them that I wanted, to be able to one hand set it up, take it down, sturdy enough to stand up to our rigorous shoot schedule. And so I've been looking at this particular small rig tripod, and I don't remember the actual numbers, but I'm going to put it right here so you know the one I'm talking about. But it was about $600 when all was said and done. And as you can see in the video, it's 3 locks, open them up, and it goes up to any size you want, and it's pretty high. I only needed it at like interview height, but once you level it out, it's the same every time. So you open it up, you close it down, one hand all the time, and it's carbon fiber, so it's really light. It's opposed to my Manfrotto one, which was made out of like steel or something because it was really, really heavy. So new tripod, which was been amazing, and we've been able to finish the shoot with that. And it's got a quick lock on it. So for the big C300, you open it up, put it in, click, and then when you take it off, you just literally just undo the lock and comes right off. None of this sliding and pushing and everything. So small rig, it did it again. I think I owe my life to small rig. They don't sponsor this channel. Maybe at some point they might like to, but the small rig tripod, I cannot recommend it enough. It really saved our ass, particularly when we went to go interview the Brooklyn Borough president for this movie, because he had about this much time. So we had to run in, get everything set up, get the camera set up. We had a half an hour because he was running off to a meeting. So we had to futz around with gear. Came in with that tripod, my camera, and we did it. And I shot it on the nice 28 millimeter. It came out great. You'll see it in the movie, which comes out on November 22nd on PBS. So those are the two things I did for this movie: the C300 Mark II rig and the small rig tripod. And you can see the model number right here, or right here. It'll be here someplace. Next, we'll talk about editing, post-production for PBS right after this. Of course, no video can be complete without talking about our sponsor, Follow Focus Gears. Every week, Follow Focus Gears, caps, step-up rings. Sean at Follow Focus Gears, they turn your little prime still lenses into functioning cinemated lenses. Because why? Because that's what you need. Great glass, and now you've got yourself a little cine lens. And he has a ring for any model camera. You know this because I say this every week. And if any model lens, sorry. And if he doesn't have it, he'll make it. Because like I said, Sean is magic, and he can make a ring for any lens ever. So reach out. There's a code, which I can never remember, but it's here on the thing. 10% off on any ring you get. As many rings you get, it's 10% off. It's also 10% off anything else you buy from them. The step-ups, the caps. It's 10% off. Give the man your business. He's a wonderful, wonderful human being, and he deserves your business. Okay? Back to the video. So the thing about making documentary films is that unlike your narrative films, you shoot everywhere, okay? You shoot this day, that day, whatever it is, and you're always shooting something different. You know, whether it's an interview day or it's a follow day or a conference, whatever it is. And the only way to make sense of this stuff in post-production is to take your days. And what I do is in my folder, like for Outcast Nation, I have my shoot days all lined up. So shoot day 1 is labeled what I shot that day, you can see, and the A cam and the B cam, and the footage from each of those goes into those folders. And if I can, I'll label what it is. You know, this person's interview, that person's interview, this conference. And you can see I labeled all my shoot days, you can see here. And all of them are broken down to A cam, B cam, B-roll, or BTS. We did a lot of BTS on this movie, thinking that we were going to need it, but so far nobody's asked us for it. Maybe that's coming down the road. But so everything's broken down. So at the end of the day, like I think our last day was shoot 22. So when you begin to start shooting, you take that information, because it's all laid out, go into Final Cut. I use Final Cut. I'm only going to talk about Final Cut. I don't understand Premiere, and I don't use DaVinci. So we're talking about Final Cut, which I've been using since version 2. Yes, I am that old, and I have been doing that this long. So, and what I do is you take your folders, your event folders, they're called in Final Cut, and I've got an event folder for each person. So each person's footage goes into each of those folders. You can see how it's laid out, whether it's a person or it's an event or it's a location, whatever it is, all of that footage is in those folders now. So when I start editing, I know where I'm looking. So also, I've got like a B-roll folder. So I know the stuff that the B-roll that I shot, you know, is in the B-roll folder. So being organized when you're making a documentary film is paramount, because you've got, I mean, I don't know how many hours we shot, but we shot a lot. And when I edit my documentaries, what I do is I start with the cold open, whatever that's going to be. Sometimes it's a montage, sometimes it's a statement. Whatever. On this particular movie, it was a statement, a question, and little tiny sound bites from the people in the film. Before I never run my titles first. I do some stuff and then I run the opening titles. So once I have my cold open, then what I do is I script out the movie, just, you know, what I think it's going to be. So like who's talking, you know, what kind of B-roll do I need? What kind of stuff do I have to pull for the internet with regards to like statistics or news articles? And I do the whole thing. I write the whole thing out. So this way, as I start editing, I know what clips I'm looking for from each person. So I always start with sort of an introduction to my characters in a documentary, and state, you know, who they are and what they do and what their relevance is to the project. Then I'll pull in like some professionals or some experts, and to talk to sort of lay out the issue of the movie that we're talking about. Then I'll go back to my subjects in the middle of their story, then more experts, and then we end up with sort of the conclusion, where they are now, what's being done for the issue that we're working on. So I write that out on a piece of paper or whatever. So I have a roadmap to follow. Now, it never stays like that, but at least you have a roadmap to look at. Okay, I need to pull this clip from here, this person from here. And also, you make a documentary, you know what you've shot, and you know who said what, so you have a good idea of what you need and what you're pulling. But sometimes you go back and you go, wait a minute. Oh, I forgot about that. That's much better. Pull that out. But as long as everything's labeled and you know who you're talking to, it makes your editing much, much quicker and much, much easier. Now, when you're delivering a movie to PBS, which is the first time I'm doing this, there are certain things that they require that I didn't understand. So I'm going to explain that in a way that I would have understood. They require captions. The closed caption thing, when you can turn it on and off, that has to be in there. And I misunderstood. I thought they meant subtitles. So in Final Cut now, you can do subtitles. You just press a button and it goes subtitles. And so when I reached out to my contact at PBS to try to figure out what they needed, he was like, well, let's define some terms. Do you mean subtitles that are on there all the time? Or captions, like, closed caption on TV? I said, subtitles? He said, no, we need captions. And I was like, okay, I don't know how to do that. He said, in Premiere, it's just a button. You can just convert it. So Internet, Final Cut, there's literally a convert to captions option in the edit. So I did that. It went, I got captions. But that's not all, folks. For broadcast TV, you need something what's called captions 608 or line 608. And what that means is that the lines in the TV, if you ever look at something and you've got your TV safe boxes, there's an outside box and an inside box. Well, the inside box is 608, the outside box is 708. And for broadcast TV, at least PBS, they require the 608. So you have to convert your captions from just captions into caption 608. I learned this, and you can see in the video that I took what those look like and where they line up on the screen. Now, if you've edited your movie and you put all kinds of stuff in there, and you realize that now the captions, when they're on, are gonna cover the things that you had planned on putting in. Like, I normally put my lower thirds in the lower third because that's where they go. Well, with the captions on, they cover the lower thirds. They also tell you not to cover any important information, faces, any kind of graphics that may be on the screen. For broadcast, you can't make sure they're not being covered by the captions. So I had to rethink where to put like important things I had on the bottom. I had to move them around. My lower thirds became left thirds. So actually, it looks much better. I think it came out really good. So we got all that done. I went back through the movie, fixed everything that might have been covered by the captions, and the particular codec that they want, which I, again, also have never done. I do everything in ProRes 422 because it's easy. It comes out of the camera, comes out of Final Cut. That's not what they want. Also, because the ProRes version of the movie was about 164 gigabytes, and that's way too big. That's not what they're looking for. But here's an interesting thing. What they wanted was, it's called XML, I think, XML 422, which is their broadcast codec. But you can't get that from a 4K film, which is what I shot in. You have to dumb it down to 1080 HD, which is what they want. So I shoot on 4K, which is fine. I mean, I don't ever shoot RAW or any of that nonsense because I don't need it, even though the camera will, C300 Mark II, back there. But they want it in 1080. So I was concerned that when I sort of converted the 4K to 1080, that maybe the aspect ratio would go haywire or whatever. But it didn't. And then the file was only 42 gigabytes, which is much more manageable and what they're looking for. So all this talking about 8K, 16K, even 6K, Broadcast doesn't want that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Netflix wants or Amazon or anybody else, but PBS, they want an HD, really clean HD file with captions and good 48 kilohertz stereo sound, which is not a lot to deliver considering that when I've done distribution in the past, they wanted all kinds of things. So this was a very easy delivery. I think it went out today. I'll let you know if if there's a hitch or there's a problem. But we got it out, and I learned a whole bunch about exporting for PBS. But really, the key is to be as organized and really organization as you can be, because once you get into the weeds on a documentary and you don't know what you got, it's a problem. And also, for the first time on this one, I actually started editing back in July. I started putting together bits and pieces of what I'd shot with different people to know what I had within the context of my story. And I got to tell you, this time it helped, because we got to a point where I wasn't even sure what I had. I had a bunch of interviews, and I was going in a direction, but I didn't know what I had. So I looked at everything I had while we were still shooting and realized what I needed. So those last 3 weeks of our shoot in August, I got all the stuff I needed to make a movie. Sometimes it happens that way. You have an idea, you're getting your interviews done, you're in the weeds, you're just shooting like crazy to get it done, and then you go, I'm not sure I have a movie here. So you sit back, you look, and then you go out and you get the stuff that you need. And that's what I did on this. And it wound up being pretty amazing. This is a pretty amazing movie. It was a lot. It took a lot out of me because of the subject matter, homeless youth in New York. But the people that have watched it so far have really been touched by it, which is good. The people that are in it are happy with it. So, like I said, it will be out November 22nd, national broadcast, as well as, I believe, the PBS app. It'll be on there, too, if you can't get PBS. So I think that's it. Any questions I can answer. You can email me. You can make little comments here. So it's Outcast Nation, November 22nd, PBS release. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me here or charlierbfnyc@gmail.com, www.realbrooklynfilms.net. Please subscribe if you can. Tell your friends. Like it, please. We actually got more subscribers on the last one, which was amazing. So tell your friends. Tell them I'm funny. Tell them I've got some stuff to say. Anybody who really wants to learn documentary filmmaking, my free book, Documentary Filmmaking 101, and our budget program, our proprietary documentary filmmaking budget, which I literally just used for the next movie, which we'll actually start talking about in a couple of weeks. I need a break because this one nearly killed me. You can get both of those here. You'll see the links down below. Follow Focus Gears. Shout out to SAC. Obviously, was a big help in making this movie. Sydney, we love you. Still waiting for that sponsorship. A Small Rig also. If you're out there, I use all your stuff. Tripod gear, batteries. We got all the Small Rig batteries. And that's it. Remember, keep shooting. Thank you.